All right, friends, good Purim, good Purim. I want to share with you, I think, a really cool insight into a fascinating halacha with some good practical lessons about Mishloach Manot. So the Shulchan Aruch writes, Taf Reish Tzadik Hey, Seif Dalet Chai Lishloach L'Chaver Shnei Manos. A person is obligated to send to one friend two gifts of any type of food, as it says, Mishloach Manot, Ish L'Re'ehu. You should give to your friends, each man to his friend. Stay manot leish echad. Two gifts to one friend. I know a lot of people think you need to give to two friends. Nope. Each one friend, as Esther decreed. Of course, Am Yisrael is knowing to be machmir, mahadrim, and mahadrim, and give many, many gifts. And that's gorgeous. But technically, you only have to give one gift, two types of food items, food or drink. Yes, it can be the same bracha. They're allowed to be shackled. They're allowed shackles and mazonos. I know that's shocking for lots of people, but there's no svarim which say it needs to be separate brachos. Just give them beautiful gifts. But the more you give, the better. If you don't have enough, give to your friend. Each one switches with each other. Okay, the Ramah writes, we give the gifts at the day, not at night. And let's say you give to your friend and he doesn't want to accept the gift. So nah, I'm gluten free. I don't want your pasta. Still, your yotza. The Mishnah Berurah writes, actually, the Chasam Sofer says you didn't fulfill your mitzvah, but we generally assume you did, even if you didn't accept it, because I expressed my love to one another. And usually, the Rama writes, a woman is obligated, just like a man, women are obligated in all the mitzvahs of the day. And a woman gives to a woman, and a man gives to a man for tznias, and also so we don't come to accidentally marry any women by giving them gifts. We don't want to maybe kiddushin, so we do it tzniasly, a man to a man and a woman to a woman. Beautiful. So that's the basic idea of Mishloach Manos. We give each other gifts. Now, one insight I had when I was teaching this halacha is that we normally think of Mishloach Manos and the Matanot Le'Evyonim together, right? They're in the same pasuk, and even the Rambam says, however much you give to Matanot Le'Evyonim, should also give to Mishloach Manos. And in fact, the Chasam Sofer says are related concepts, and the whole idea of Mishloach Manos is so that everyone's giving each other gifts, and we could also then give a nice meal to the poor person, and he won't feel embarrassed because everyone's just giving each other gifts. So that's usually the drush I give. But I notice that in the Shulchan Aruch, there's Matanot Evyanim, and then there's Sudas Purim, and only then do we have the last halacha of Mishloach Manos. So I wonder if the Shulchan Aruch, based on the Torah, is trying to say that Mishloach Manos is actually a function of the meal. And that is why, in fact, some poskim say, ideally, the best way to fulfill the mitzvah of Mishloach Manos is to actually make a meal for somebody else, or actually give people food that they can eat during their meal, and actually even give it during the meal. So that's just, okay. I thought that was an interesting insight, take it or leave it. What I want to focus on is what the Mishnah Berurah brings down, the famous Binyan Tzion. Mishnah Berurah writes that the Binyan Tzion says you need to give your gift as through a messenger. Mishloach Manot Ish L'Reo has to be done through a messenger, and he even says maybe you don't fulfill your obligation if you don't give it to your friend through a messenger boy. So the good news is we're not so machmir about this, and it's just a chumrah that you can give your friend even without a messenger. But what's the svara? Why would we even think for a moment that we have to do it through a messenger? I mean, okay, so he said, because it says in the pasuk, Mishloach Manot, Mishloach is a lashon of a messenger. But, I mean, that just seems counterintuitive. If the idea of Mishloach Manos is to create reus, to create connection, oneness between the Jewish people, after all, the Haman said, that the Jewish people are disconnected, mufurad, mufuzar, and now we're trying to connect love and oneness and connectedness. So then why wouldn't I give it through a messenger? Wouldn't it be a deeper, more sweet experience if I personally give my gift to my friend? Why would that be a mahadran thing to do? So that's something many of the poskim struggle with. So I want to suggest three chidushim, three interesting perspectives. The first two are really based on Rav Shlomo Carlebach's thought process. So Rav Shlomo talks about this, and he says that, when I give a gift to you through a messenger, through Shlomi, so I get Shlomi involved in the love between me and you, and now he's included in that beautiful experience. And so it's including more people into the Reyes. Gavalt, beautiful. A second explanation of Rosh Shlomo Carlebach in his book Good Purim is that we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is missing from the story of Megillah, but he's really there the whole time. So too, we remind ourselves that even though I'm not there physically next to you, I'm sending a messenger to give you this gift. Even when we're not physically next to each other, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, I'm there with you always. And that's the idea that I'm saying. Even when we're not physically together, I still love you. Beautiful. I want to offer a third suggestion. I think it's a really cool idea. And it's based on Rabbi David Foreman's drasha about the original first Mishloach Manos. So bear with me on this cute, amazing, life-changing understanding of Mishloach Manos. So Rabbi Foreman suggests that the first time that Mishloach Manos is really given is actually in Megillah Esther itself. So let's go search for it. It says in chapter 9 that we have to give gifts Mishloach Manot Ish L'Re'eu. So Rabbi Foreman says if we find the Ish, the Manos, and the Re'ehu, and the friend, then we'll know who gave the first Mishloach Manos. So where's the Ish? We do a quick search and we find that in the Megillah, there's a man who twice in one pasuk is called an Ish. Ish Yehudi, Ish Yemini. That's right, you guessed it. It's Mordechai. Mordechai is introduced as the man, as an Ish. Okay? So we found our Ish. So now what we got to do is find our Reah, who is described as a friend in Megillah Esther. Well, it says that Memuchan suggests that Vashti be deposed of her queenship and that her crown be given l'reacha atova mimenu, to her friend who is better for her because she disrespected the king. Indeed, she does lose the crown. And who ends up taking the crown from Vashti? It's Esther. She takes the place of Vashti. She is the Reah. So we have found our friend. Okay, we have the Ish, we have the friend. Now what do we need? We need the Manos. So do a quick Bar Ilan search. Chapter 2, we find that indeed Esther receives Manos. What's the story? She's in the harem waiting for Achashverosh to make his decision. And there's the Shomer Hanashim, I believe his name is Hatach, who's guarding over her. Oh, it's Haggai? We'll have to double check. It's Haggai. And my wife fixes me, Baruch Hashem, always. And Haggai is guarding, and he sneaks in. The pasuk says, manot and tamrukea, perfume and some sort of gift. So we found our manot, we found our ish, we found our re'eh, we found our manot. The only problem is, who didn't give the manot? The ish. Mordechai didn't give the gift. So now we lost our whole drasha, but not yet, because the very next pasuk talks about how Mordechai would come watch over kol yom vayom, every day. He would look over Esther, watch over her, check in on his wonderful adopted daughter Esther. So Rabbi Foreman suggests, who really gave the manos to the guard? It was Mordechai. Mordechai didn't have access to Esther, but he snuck in a little message. He said, I love you, here's some chocolate, and don't reveal your identity because God has a plan for you. Keep it a secret. He was the one who, through a messenger, gave that Mishloach Manos, and therefore, perhaps that's what we're reflecting, reminding ourselves of the original Mishloach Manos, when Mordechai, through a messenger, sent that message of love to Esther. And what it's really reminding ourselves is that Mishloach Manos is not simply a little Dorito and chocolate. It's a way of giving love towards our friends, showing how much we care about them, showing how much we're thinking about them in all situations. So, just like Mordechai gave to his loved one, Esther, we should give to our beloved ones. Shlomo says we shouldn't forget to give Mishloach Manos to our family, to our wives, to our children, to our mom and dads. And Hashem should bless us to give Mishloach Manos with a lot of love. The Kedushas Levi would kiss every Mishloach Manos because it's the greatest expression of love between Am Yisrael. Maybe Zeiche to a beautiful Purim Sameach full of matanot mina shamayim. Good Purim, ayay, 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 Purim, ayay, 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 ayay.